All right, this is the Lunenburg Water District Commissioners Meeting,
23rd.
August 23rd, 2023. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great.
Okay.
We're working on minutes and warrants.
Yeah, let me read this.
We got a pretty full agenda today, so let's really try to stick to it. And we'll go right into Commissioner, Superintendent, Clerk, Treasurer's additions.
Mass Ave, they've updated the permit stuff, it's back to the state. State's more responsive, they said just give us some note and we'll get right on it, because they know we want to get it done as soon as possible. So the project is out on Project Dog, and there's probably 30 people on the list that
pulled the plan?
Probably about 15 that are actual contractors that might do the job.
So 30 pulled the plans?
Yeah, you know, the suppliers and you know, those kind of people. So it looks pretty good. A lot of the regular people that we've seen. Grenice did the water line on Reservoir Road down to the well. Trolley, he did the water main on Whalum Road. Very good contractors. No issues with any of them. Then the regular guys, Powell.
Yep.
Tandem, Balthazar, MDR, a lot of the regular well-known people, so.
We get some good prices.
And I think it's good, because when they go on that thing, they can see everybody that pulled the plans to look at it. So, I mean, if there's 100 people there, and they want to bid it, they're going to get competitive, so so I think this is good.
Yeah, but they're not gonna get the job, unfortunately.
Yep.
So to follow up with that, they open the bids next Thursday? Next Thursday. We had talked about special meeting, wanting to do something to sign right away, what we said we were gonna.
Do you think it's worthwhile to just open the bids, see what they are, and then, I mean, it takes us 3 days to schedule a meeting if we want to award it. Just in case there's any difficulty, I don't want to schedule a meeting for nothing. I was thinking about it, and I thought we wanted to have it right then. Jeez.
You could cheat the system and authorize me to award the bid upon approval of the engineer. I mean, you could do that, and then when as soon as the engineer say everyone's in line, we're good to go, then me or her or whatever, because she's the person with the money. So
I kind of think we still want to look at it, don't we, John? Or do we care?
Well,
I mean,
we should look at it.
I think we
I
should
think
look
so,
at
too,
it,
because
and then we're still gonna have input when we see it and talk to you, so we might as well just, if we gotta have a meeting just to award that, we can do that.
I think when you have the meeting to award it, I think Gary should be here presenting it to you, since we're paying him
As to why the engineers
Tell-
agree that this is.
Actually, I would like to see, I think as a board, as soon as the bids are open, as soon as it's able to be put together afterward, Gary come in and discuss the bids with us and give us his recommendations.
but we have,
ASAP, not like down the road, we want this thing rolling.
Yep.
don't we have to go through all those to make sure everything is, I mean,
That's
you want
that's
it-
what they need to do. We can
Yeah.
award it, but then they go through it, right?
Yeah, make sure all the,
No, they're gonna go through it before we award it.
Yeah.
So they're gonna get the
Okay.
bids, the low bid, and they're probably gonna go through the first and second bids.
Yeah, in case the
Maybe
first-
third if they're really close. But they're gonna do, the bids came in, you know, the bid bond, a certified check, something to secure
yeah.
that. the
And it's
bid.
gotta be for the right amount, it's gotta be done, right
Yep.
and all.
Then they're gonna go through every item, you know, if the pipe is, say, $50 a foot and there's 4,000 feet, well, is that math correct? You know,
Yeah.
they do
Yeah.
it, they go through the whole thing.
Yeah, let's do that, let's get Gary in here that day and,
So the way the August falls, we have an extra week, so we're gonna have 3 weeks before our next meeting. So
And
next.
we can schedule one.
Yeah.
If we feel we need to, especially to get that rolling,
That's fine.
then I have no problem. It's what, 3 days?
I would just need to post, so they open the bids the 31st.
Well,
You guys-
we'll talk to
Okay.
Gary before the bid. Say, Gary, how much time we looking at for you guys to go through
Right.
everything? And then we want to award the bid quickly, so if you think that next Wednesday is good, we'll post the meeting for Wednesday.
Yeah, whatever, yep. I don't wanna post a meeting and plan on a meeting and not be ready for it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
okay,
yeah.
I would accept the motion on the minutes of August 9th.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes of August 9th.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Good. Okay, we've signed the warrants.
I got nothing else.
Got nothing else?
I just have one quick thing.
Yeah,
So we have this one customer at one of the trailer parks. Been working with her, trying to get her to pay her bills, going through a rough time. Husband just died, couple kids, the whole thing. So she had leaks that caused pretty significant bills. I didn't print off exactly when it was, a year or two ago, but has always struggled to pay her bills. Mock, through that fuel assistance, I think we had
Yeah,
told you,
there's
we've been getting
also-
lots
yep.
of payments. So her bill was around $5,600 she owes, and is only able to put small amounts and keep chipping away with it. Mock just paid $1,800 towards it, so we got it down to $3,600. But the problem is, every month I'm running finance charges on her of around $50 to $60.
okay, what do you suggest?
She has agreed that right now, all she can do is around $60 per month. So that would actually only put her around an extra $50 or $60 per quarter to go towards her past. The problem is if I'm charging her $50 every month on finance charges, she's barely even able to make anything. So I said, I have to run this by the board. I said, but the only way I'm willing to honor this, and I'm gonna tell the commissioners this, is if you stick to this. I said, the minute you start missing your payments, finance charges are going back on. I said, I have to ask, this isn't something we typically do, but I,
Did they do anything to prove a hardship? Because what people say and what it actually is, I'm not
well, her
denying
getting the
it.
fuel assistance,
Okay, oh, getting it
her
through
getting
Mark.
fuel
So that
assistance
should
and
prove
getting
it.
mock, you have to be financially, you have to prove financially that you're approved for that. So that's kind of where you know what I mean? And we've had multiple discussions, we've talked about communication, we've talked about everything. I told her I would bring it to you guys and see if there's something that we could,
Did you do a breakdown on how long it would take at that for her to pay off without a finance charge?
I didn't. I mean, if you're
Just a
looking
quick,
at,
I'm just trying to, it seems like.
it's gonna take her a while.
Seems
It's
like
gonna
a
be
while.
60, so 20, so she'd be at, so even call it,
Is there any likelihood that Mock will do another pay?
maybe. I don't think they'll do as big, but the woman, my contact through Mock said that there's a chance, another round of maybe, because most people, if they're not behind, are just getting a $200 payment. Anyone who owed a lot of money, we had another gentleman who had been paying and they just paid $800 for him. I don't know what the max is, this is the highest I've ever seen them pay anybody, was the $1,600 plus the normal $200 payment. So it sounds like no big payments are coming through again, but there's a chance that another round of the $200 per applicant is gonna come through.
So, on top, if she maintains her regular bill, and you come up with an amount that she can pay per quarter or per month or however she does it.
Yep.
And she sticks to those payments while maintaining her regular bill. I feel bad for people that do have hardships.
Yeah.
And if she's getting the assistance, that seems to be proof enough to me that she's getting a hardship.
Yep.
I would be willing to waive the finance charge, but she needs to stay 100% on top of it.
Okay. I will
So
let her know that
whatever
this
I
is,
don't know what your thought is, John, but if she
gotta do
pays a
something.
regular bill now,
Yep,
and then pays a fixed amount either per quarter, per month,
think
or
she was
per
gonna do
something.
monthly.
If she wants to
Easier
do that,
breakdown.
and she sticks to that, and I would give a little bit of leeway, but not much.
Well, I basically told her, which is kind of what we tell everybody. Obviously, things happen. But if you do not call me, if we schedule to take your payment out on the 15th of every month and it gets declined, and you don't call me, the deal's done. If you call me on the 10th, the 11th, the 12th and say, hey, I just need a couple extra days, or hey, something, whatever it is, obviously things come up, but you have to communicate, and that's the
How do we
biggest
set
thing.
them up? Do we have an auto draw or an EFT,
No, because.
credit card, or is there something we can set up?
Yes. So basically, if you do it automatic in Invoice Cloud, it wants to pull your whole amount. So Lisa has been doing an awesome job making payment plans with people, and we actually save either their card or their bank account in there.
Okay.
And Lisa has a calendar. Every day she goes in and
So,
runs
yeah, so
certain
we
people's. We have
keep
control.
them to it,
Yep.
and she pays a regular bill. I think that, I feel bad, and I don't wanna have to charge finance.
How much is a regular water bill about average?
120.
120 a
120.
quarter,
Yeah.
so that's $40 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would,
Okay.
I would be open, you're good with that, John?
Yeah, I am. Because if you don't do something, you're never gonna get the money.
All she
won't-
would do is pay her
And-
her quarterly bills. She'd never take care of the balance.
Right.
She
So.
wouldn't live long enough to pay it
And
off.
all, and, trying to clear it up, I understand. If
No, I
she
like to help her
sold,
out.
she would have to clear the bill up completely.
Oh yeah, that yes,
That'd
that
be
goes. Yep. Oh
automatic.
yeah, no, that we won't.
Yep.
Yep. That's okay.
And I think that when we do stuff like that, when Lisa sets up a payment plan, or if we're gonna do anything like this, I think we do need to verify that there is some type of a hardship. I mean, you try to do any kind of, I don't know, when you're trying to get something through municipal, I believe you have to prove the hardship. I think getting the mock assistance, getting the check was written directly to us
Yeah.
from mock, so that to me would be enough to prove that
Yeah.
she has a hardship, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, I'm good with that.
That's all I got.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody? I have a couple things that just,
Yeah, I got a couple things too.
okay.
Let me think what they were.
Oh, I can go over mine. I went to the selectmen's meeting last night. for
Oh,
the,
that's one of them.
For the ARPA funding. They are working on getting on the same page, and they, I think they've ironed out a good way to rate the requests anyway. I went because they had the Board of Health there. The whole board was there last night to talk about ARPA and private wells. Currently, the Board of Health has no plan for people to test or requirement for PFAS on a private well. The new regulations come out in January. And they feel that may, they think something's gonna come down the line of, like a Title V. If you go to sell your house, you're gonna have to test, or they may, if you test for PFAS, they may be making requirements to remedy if you are above the allowable limits. There was also talk of a company out there that would probably do the test for free if they were designing and selling you a system. So, so there's a lot of programs, there's no program currently because there's no regulation under private wells. The Board of Health has no funding. A lot of things were discussed. The cost of a PFAS test that is registered by the state, when you do a test, you know it. They're certified tests that are sent to the state. There may be other ways that people can test that doesn't cost $400, but that's a $400 test currently for a resident. There was a little bit of discussion that $400 for a household for Lunenburg is for testing to see if your water's drinkable or not. Doesn't seem out of the realm for most households to afford. if you think about it, the Title V test is $600 or $800. So it's right in line with, cost of ownership of a house. The downside is if they need filtration, the rough number of $3,000 to $5,000 was thrown out for a filtration system. So, after all of it and some good discussion, the Board of Health felt that it was premature at this time to have any funding allocated to testing private wells or assistance for testing of private wells. Because in January, if the regulations change, then you could be handcuffing people to, if you test it, you have to treat it if the regulation changes. So they didn't feel that there was enough information at this time to offer any assistance, because there's no regulation to follow. And by the time you offer this, the regulation could show up and it could handcuff people to having to remedy a situation and spend $3,000 to $5,000 on top of that.
What is DuPont's responsibility here?
So,
14 billion.
But-
this is now, when we go for our supply and we're part of the class action, I didn't bring it up because I didn't know, but is this something that the town of Lunenburg, or I'm assuming the Board of Health or somebody could go in on it for private wells, but I don't know if there's
I don't
anything
think
there.
you can now, it's already settled.
Well, what are they gonna pay for? Public water supply?
Yeah,
Yeah, so anybody with D-Tex could apply.
So they left the people that have got private wells hanging out there.
yeah, pretty much.
I kind of wonder if they'll go around again, because DEP, Selectman Emke talked about it a little bit, and I was looking into it last week. DEP did a round of testing on private wells for towns that had more than 60 or 70%
Right.
wells versus public water. And I was looking at some of the numbers, we were looking at some of the numbers, and I just looked at Harvard, you know what I mean? I knew Harvard was one of them. So they're still obviously they're doing something, because they obviously are going and testing wells, but I think it's still so new for them to sit there and say, okay, now what do? We got these results in, because anyone that was high, it looked like they tested them a second time, and I wanna say there was potential for a third. But they're trying to figure out where it was coming from, how to fix it. So if it's my guess, I think Board of Health is right. Something's gonna come down eventually for private wells with DEP doing all this testing. But who knows how they're gonna figure out money.
When they start testing, it could be another class action suit for residents with
wells.
private wells.
Yes.
So it's, I guess, because of the prominence of public water supplies, this is where they're starting, affects the most people with one real swoop.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we're so in tune to it and working on it. The next step is gonna be through the Board of Health on the private wells, but
Yeah.
at this point, they didn't feel that any funding for that would be prudent at this time. They just feel it was too premature.
Yeah.
They did have another request, which was rather small, and I'm sure they're gonna get more requests. I think they had 9 or 10 in a ranking. And overall, I believe our request was ranked fairly high. I believe it's gonna be another 2 weeks, because they have some time, and then hopefully they'll be able to rank and consider allocating some funds. The public education component keeps coming up. So, if we do get the funding, I would definitely like to sit down with Ty and Bond and figure out how we can get the most bang for our buck on the public education part for all residents.
Yeah, we did.
Private and private well and.
Lou was here yesterday, we did mention that if it does go to the public issue, we need to have a whole focus on the
Yeah.
private wells and
Yeah.
how you treat it, the costs and stuff like that.
Yep.
There was a concern from the Board of Health that we didn't spend enough money on public education, but I thought they put together a fairly comprehensive package with public hearings and meetings and.
Yes,
and-
I thought
and-
so too.
Right, so we'll, I just wanna make sure, cross that bridge when we come to it. If they start testing private wells, and people are it's determined that they have PFAS, and there's a time frame between remediation, just something to consider. I know we bottled water before, Lunenburg water. Doesn't help, because we got PFAS in our water too. But, you know, if we can get to a point where we're doing remediation and getting below the allowable limits in ours, if there's enough call for it to help people out, I don't know if there's something we can do to, you know, I don't know what the costs were, just something we'd have to sit down and see whether it's even worthwhile to help people out, because, you know, the key is the drinking water, drinking and cooking. You know, and you used to do gallons, right?
Yeah, and that, the only, that was actually pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
It was, the difficult part was getting the bottles. That was very difficult.
Yeah.
The PFAS bottles.
No, getting, so where, they used to pump, yeah, the bottles made out of PFAS.
Yeah, well, that's it, I mean,
Yeah.
Our water's clean, but then we're gonna put it in the bottle.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the talk was that there's certain things that are manufactured that have to still have these chemicals in, there's no other way to manufacture them. But, you know,
Where are we gonna get our information from?
we're gonna work together with, our engineer and the DEP when we hopefully put together a public education.
Now, doesn't the DEP website have everything on it that
They-
they're gonna give us, and we're gonna give it back to the people?
Well, we're gonna give it to them in a way that, you know, some people, when you read stuff, it's,
It's
you know,
overwhelming
when.
going on the site.
No, that, I
It
understand,
is.
I
It's
understand that, but we're gonna get a lot of our information, we're gonna give a lot of information that's already there, but in a different, a different way.
We're gonna,
It is
we're
yours.
gonna try to break it down for people as easy as we can to understand.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there is a lot to deal with it. You talked about them now starting to break out some of the POFAs and the PFAS
Yes.
chemicals, the chemicals in the group that's
Individually.
more specific.
Yes.
So, I don't know if we need to get that detailed, but I'm sure if we get the funding, we sit down and come over and go over with Ty and Bond a good comprehensive plan for education that'll work for all.
Well, would it be okay, I'm not sure if there's a representative from either the selectmen or Board of Health or whoever would like to,
Yep.
maybe when we meet with Ty and Bond, say, what do you guys want to see?
We could
Yeah.
reach out to both.
Yeah.
You know, I actually enjoyed having, once in a while, at least, the communication the board gets from us is either conversations with you or conversations with me or whatever, and we don't have a select board liaison. And not that they have to come to every one of our meetings, but so that they can stay up to date on what we're doing. I've talked to the chair about the possibility of, you know, filling what Todd did. And, I thought he was great, you know,
I did
so.
too, he was good.
You know, and then the board of selectmen aren't sitting there like, and asking questions.
Yeah.
They have a representative that comes to our meetings and is fully aware, or has discussions with us and is fully aware of what's going on. So, we'll see how that goes. I'll circle back to that. But anyway, hopefully, you know, we get some, ARPA funding we can spend.
Hopefully, yeah.
So, we'll see how that goes. I had a couple other notes and some things that were pretty good, but we'll see. Down the road, it's still a moving target. I didn't have anything else other than.
John, do you have another thing? You said you had two things.
No,
What was
he
the ARPA?
talked
You got them all? Okay.
Yeah.
he whacked on a couple of them, so.
The health insurance buyback,
I did create a new one. I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys wanna just read through it. Or just at least change some of the
Evidence of
wording.
insurance, blah, 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 blah. And what did you say they paid out at the end of the year?
Yes,
Is that in here?
yep, so read this whole thing here. That
Applicant elects
kinda,
to voluntarily terminate.
Oh, I know what I was thinking about, somebody mentioned, I don't know who, that, Burridge Street property, Penniman's. Was, that has been transferred to another developer or something, I heard, or? No?
I haven't
Okay.
heard anything.
I haven't heard anything down there, but they would have to come before us anyway.
Oh, yeah, I
So-
just didn't know if them other guys had given up on it and,
I don't know if you wanted to look, this is what we talked about. I thought it was a fairly decent program, pretty basic. And I don't know if they call it a trial or.
They did.
Yeah, so we
So
could.
that's kind of why I added that at the end. The commissioners hold the right to end this at
Right,
any point
okay.
with, given a 30-day notice.
I didn't really read it
So-
all the way through. But that's good.
Basically it says you have to have insurance, you have to prove insurance at any time when questioned, like you asked.
Yep.
That the payout is at the end of the fiscal year, in June. If you leave before then, it's prorated, and that the commissioners have the right to eliminate this program at any time, giving employees a 30-day notice.
Excuse me, so we would have to be able to have the stuff in place to be able to put them right back on the policy in 30 days? Can we do that? That would be a triggering event, right?
Yeah.
So we could just do that, yeah.
Yep.
All right. I think we already voted to move.
Yeah, you did. You
forward
just
with
wanted
it.
to see it revised. You
Nope.
had these very few things you wanted to make sure that there was
Yep.
proof of coverage, and that if questioned, they had to prove it again throughout the year, just to make sure nothing was.
Yeah, I just, my fear is I want to make sure that somebody's covered.
Yep.
I'd hate to see something happen to somebody and then them not be
Yeah,
covered.
prove, yeah.
You know,
Yep.
and that's, we try to take care of our employees here, and that's
Okay.
one of those things.
All right, so we will put this in for this year, effective immediately.
Yeah, because I think we just started a fiscal year back in July.
Yep.
So if people want to go, if they want to go back, or if, I don't know how you do it. Well, you
Well,
can
we could
cancel,
just- I could-
at this point, I think you can cancel still as of July 1st, right now. I don't know. if
I'd
you
have to
can.
check.
It would have to be prorated based on what we.
Yeah, the
what we-
11 month, yeah. Yeah, it's no problem.
Yeah. Okay,
All right, I'm done. You?
nothing from DEP on the meeting?
Nope, nothing yet.
We're just waiting
I
on their
assume it's gonna be
response?
pretty quick, yeah. I said that before, though. I thought we were gonna get it in like 2 days, but, yeah, nothing as of yet, anyway.
And it's more of a conservation thing, correct?
Yes, the appeal was to
To
conservation, not to
conservation.
us, so, yeah.
But it sounded like at the meeting, whatever communications he would have, it would be
It'd be
sent to
with
everybody.
Okay.
So hopefully as soon as, yeah.
Okay. I think that's it. Motion to adjourn?
So
Yes.
Okay, we're done. Thank you very much.